built in 1960, 1,267 square feet. Living area, full basement and the basement finish, one full bathroom and one half bathroom. Central air conditioner, detached multi-car garage, lot size 6,972 square feet with a medium traffic influence. Sold for $300,000 in October of 2015. Time adjusted sale price $301,800. Time adjusted sale price per square foot $238.20. Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions of the assessor?
No.
No? Any questions, Maurice?
Yeah, just to confirm, the reference date on this is the 1st of April 2016?
Correct.
Okay. And have you seen any of these properties? Have you inspected any of them?
I just did a drive-by.
Drive-by? And how, on all of them or just the subject?
All of them.
All of them, and how would you, I guess, what was your general reaction to the look? I mean, that's a little deceiving, but
Yeah, so basically, when I drove by, like subject property appeared to have newer windows, and it has a
it has what, I'm sorry, sir?
newer windows.
Newer windows on the subject?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
it appeared from a drive-by, and it also has a gray stucco exterior. Comparable number 1 doesn't appear to be renovated.
Okay.
Comparable number 2, similar to subject and condition, and it was also located in the bay. That's comparable number 2. Comparable number 3 has some windows dated, and comparable number 4 doesn't appear to be renovated.
So this one you felt was a little more recent? Would that be fair to say, on 57 Beaver Bend, based on what you saw, because of the windows?
Yeah.
That's not a fair, I'm trying to get a handle on.
Okay.
On,
On the condition, I guess? Or?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the appellant is gonna tell us, but.
Well, as far as the condition, I mean, subject property had a post-reference sale, so there is a MLS listing that kind of describes the condition. It appears an average condition.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and it's got a larger lot, is that, than the others?
Yes.
Is that a factor as well?
A larger lot, I would consider it as a factor. Also, the larger living area.
And was the lot, is the lot a square lot, or is it,
I do not have that information right in front of me right now.
okay, that's all for now, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions, Lynn?
Just a quick one, based on the comparables that you brought, which one do you think is most similar? And I'm questioning whether the ones on Moray have with their medium traffic influence,
Yeah.
would be comparable to Beaver Bend.
Yeah, well, medium traffic would make it more inferior as a comparable. So I think comparable number 2 is the 48 Golden Gate Street is very similar, and it's also located in the bay setting, similar to subject property.
Okay.
I would personally think that comparable number 2, it's a bit smaller, but location-wise, neighborhood-wise, it's very similar. And the lot size, of course, closest to the subject out of all those 4 comparables.
Okay. And they're all, well, you said from your exterior look, they're all in average condition, but just based on the effective age, none of them have been, from what you've seen, have been fully renovated, or
It
no
didn't appear that way.
significant
No,
renovations?
they did not appear to me that way when I drove by.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Let's get on with your presentation.
Okay, so I did something a little different. What I did was, we bought the house in March of 2018 for $280,000. It was listed at $299,900, and it went for $280,000 to us. And so when I was looking at the 311 website, basically what it said to me was that the city assesses property values based on might reasonably be expected to be realized if sold in the open market on the applicable reference date by a willing seller to a willing buyer. So if you're saying my house is worth $303,000 in 2016, and in 2018 I bought it for $280,000, I mean, I don't understand how you do things, but to me, that doesn't make any sense. So, and then I went to the sales data and I looked at all of the houses in that area that sold from, in 2016, and 7 of them sold. Only 1 of them went for in the $300,000 range. And of that, of 2014 to 2016, 120 houses were sold. And of those 120, only 25% of them sold in the $300,000 range. So when you compare the properties, it was difficult to do because I didn't have like a market analysis for 2016. But when you look at the houses just in 2018, when the assessor's speaking of, comparable value, you'll see that in my market evaluation, that the second house, which went for $324,900, has an attached garage, which my house does not. And then the second house, which didn't go for $300,000, is also in much better condition than the house that I purchased. I feel that $280,000 was a very reasonable price for me to pay for this house. And I don't know how else you decide on taxes other than property value, but I don't feel that I would get $303,000 for my house if I sold it today, or even in 2016, based on what I'm looking at. Sorry, that's it.
That's it? Questions?
No, I guess I don't have any questions.
Maurice?
Just a comment, when we're looking at stuff here, we usually go back to April 1st, 2016. That's why I asked the question, because that's the reference date that we have to go on. I just want to make that point.
Yeah.
How long was this house on the market before it was sold?
It was on twice, actually. The
Pardon
first
me?
time it was on twice, actually.
Twice?
It was on the first time a couple months, and then the second time it went up again, I think it was 6 months. The house needs a lot of work, and so I think, I'm not suggesting that we didn't get it for a reasonable price, but it requires a lot of work to bring it up to any level. It is on a bay, which is a great thing about it. It does have the pool. The pool is 30 years old and we've had it assessed, and we're actually thinking of filling it in. The pool is not a selling feature for us. It was actually a detriment. But the price of the house appealed to us.
Okay, and on the purchase, what was your relation? Was that through a real estate agent?
Yes.
Did you have any I'm trying to find out the distance, the arm's length relationship between the agent and yourselves. Were they strangers? Were they?
Never met him before.
Okay, so it was totally clean.
Yep.
And you say it was listed at $299,900?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's wrong with the house? Well, what kind of defects do you have in there? Are there any structural defects?
No, we had the house assessed like by a home buyer assessment, and the house is structurally sound. And honestly, that's one of the reasons we went forward, because anything else besides structure is fixable if you have the money to do it. So the kitchen is extremely dated. Some of the cupboard doors are off, actually. In the basement, it does say that there's a half bath, but the toilet is in one room of the basement and the shower is in the storage room. It needs to be removed. It's like built up like this. Like the house is seriously a dog's breakfast. The basement has, they say it's finished, and it is, I guess, in terms of, you could be in it. They dug out half the basement, I guess, when they did the addition, but they didn't dig out the other half, so then they built a retaining wall, and there's a cut in that wall that goes into the dugout part of it, and there's like a curtain over that. There is I don't know, I think you said the windows were new. They look new, and we thought that too until we moved in and realized that they're not new. They must have been a retrofit or something taken from somewhere else. The carpets in the bedrooms they have to be removed. I don't know if they had animals or something, but I mean, there's lots of great things about the house, obviously, because we bought it. But I haven't been in the houses on the rest of the bay, but it's not worth $303,000. You never get that for that house. That's.
Okay, and well, I'm having difficulty with your comparables because they're all over the place and we don't know the conditions of those houses.
Well, in terms of the 2016.
Is there one that stands out that's fairly close by that would be a good comparable? And I think that your sales are all before 2016, right?
What, I'm sorry, I'm misunderstanding. Well, this I just got from the sales book, the data, because I didn't, when I phoned 311 to find out how I would get information, they told me to go to the sales data for 2016.
Okay.
So when I looked at it, all I thought I understand that these houses probably don't compare in terms of square footage and property size, but I guess I was just thinking about what the overall market would be in this time period. And so in this time period, if we think about houses increasing in value over time, which they usually do, if you look at my house selling for $280 in 2018, and very few houses in this market region sold for $300 in this time frame, I thought that was a reasonable assumption.
Your intent was to try to give us an idea of the market.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Lynn,
No question, thanks.
what value were you placing on the house then? Was it the 280 you're trying to get it to, or what number were you looking for?
I actually, I would assume that 280 is what it would be valued at. I did look at the, what everybody else around me is paying in taxes, and I'm actually the second highest. The house right beside me, I believe, is 300, based on 307. But the houses in St. James and in that area are very, very different, even on the same street. You could get like a tiny little pre-war home and then a great big, almost brand new home. So it's really difficult to say, even from one street, how, you would assess taxes based on square footage and things like that.
The sales data that you brought with you, the one thing it doesn't have is a square footage. Did you drive by any of these homes? Were any of them?
I did on the ones on Beaverbrook. I didn't on
Is
here.
there a Beaver
'Cause
Brook on here?
I didn't put, if you look at the 2018 on Beaverbrook, which is what I started with, because I didn't realize the tax year was for 2016.
Yeah.
So I drove by the houses that sold on Beaverbrook in 2018, and there was a few of them.
And they're on here?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I had to do it on 2016 originally, and then that's why
It's more the size. The area is correct with these, like Olive, Turner.
yeah.
Those are all, but we don't know the size of them. That's the concern I have.
Yeah.
Well, no matter what our decision is, you should probably be in touch with the city
Okay.
and maybe ask them if they can come out and take a look at the house
Sure.
so that they can lock you up with a number after, no matter, whatever our decision is. It wouldn't hurt for you to contact them and see if you can get them to come down and do an actual walk at, because you haven't been through the house, have you?
Doesn't look like anybody have. I mean,
Were you aware of the basement being that way? That the other part was an extension on the house and that there was no basement under that portion?
well, we have it as a full part area,
Yeah.
so it means that not the entire 1,600 square feet has a basement.
How much basement?
Let's see, how do we? So basement we have is for 936 square feet. That's the total basement.
1495?
No, 936.
936 is the full basement.
Yes.
Did you take that into account when you were looking at the numbers?
Yes.
The other ones all have full basements though, correct?
But they're all smaller houses as well.
But they're 1,400 square feet with full basement.
That's one comparable number one. I think comparable number two would be more appropriate because of the location. It does have a full basement, which will be like the entire footprint of the house, which is 1,300 square feet. But it also has smaller living area, right? Basement. Basement is the same as the living area, whereas in such a property, basement is smaller, but the living area is larger.
But it's also got a double attached garage. Or
Yes.
detached multiple garage, that one,
Yes.
which this one has not. Did you take into account that the pool might be in old shape, or did you add extra value for the pool?
Well, the way when I look at it, I look at the pool as a feature that such a property has, and given the market condition, like it only the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So, as in this case, if property has it, we have to account for it as an added value feature.
Have you actually noticed that pools don't add value?
It's hard to say. Like with the pools, it's sometimes they do, sometimes they do not.
Correct. That's why they should be visited. I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
I had a further.
Oh, one more
Chairman,
question.
if you don't mind,
I don't mind at all.
Okay, I'm just looking at your data here,
Yeah,
on page one. I'll call it page one of your,
okay.
the market region. There was one at 47 Beaver Bend, the 65 Beaver Bend, and 97 Beaver Bend, which is close to your place.
Yeah,
I know the sales were 2014 and 15.
yeah.
Any idea did you look at those places? Any idea what these places looked like?
47 Beaver Bend is quite a bit smaller. It's right on the corner, like around the bend here. It's quite a bit of a smaller house.
Okay.
I don't remember what I saw about 65 and 97. We are one of the larger houses on the property, on
Okay.
the bay.
Okay.
So I didn't feel, well, in this, I thought I was highlighting 2016 overall. So, but yeah, that house is quite a bit smaller than ours.
Okay, and the others you don't know, the 65 and 97?
I don't know.
Don't know. You just drove by these, did you?
Yeah, I've never been in any of the houses on the bay.
Okay, thank you. I just that one, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
I got one more question then. So are your time adjustments, are they looking at an increase from 2014 to 2016?
Well, yeah, it looks like they are going up from 14 to 16 because the sales that have been, based on the comparable sheet we have, right? Let's say comparable ones that we sold in April 2016 is having an increased time adjustment.
Okay, thank you. I'm done. Thank you very much for your presentation. You'll be hearing from us before you know it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Shut her down.